this workshop. Say thank you to the organizers, Vicky, Fatih, Mate, Alex. So you always will have the support. Just raise your hands or ask your questions, and there will be both technical and other kind of support and help as well. Special thanks to our communication partners to spread the word around about the workshop. And now let me give the word back to Tony. Good luck for the workshop. I hope that we can learn a lot today as well. And see you next time at our next workshop, which will gonna be in early end of November or something like that. But you will be updated, and please join our LinkedIn group, workshop group, because we share even more content and knowledge there. So let's keep in touch in the meantime as well. Good luck for today's workshop. Have a lot of fun. Bye, guys.
Bye bye. Thank you. Okay. So just we are also hiring. So if you would like to join this awesome company, then please, after the workshop, consider checking our open positions. So it will be held by me. I work here for around 5 years now, mainly focusing on web, but also was working on native, doing React Native stuff. And my helper will be Alex. So if you have any problems, then he is the one who can walk there and help you if you have any problems. And also Mate. So we have two helps to help you. Thank you. Now let's get started. So as you know, it is about GitHub packages, actions, and pages. And as you know, GitHub is a kind of almost social media for coding or hosting repositories, but it goes beyond that. It can have also actions where you can run commands like which you would run manually on the terminal, but you can just program it nicely structured and it will run it instead up there automatically. You can also have packages, which is similar to the NPM hosted packages. It's just another registry which hosts those packages. And you can also have pages which are static pages. You can build pages from component library or from any application you have. Then you can host it there, and maybe your database is just in MongoDB and you don't even need a backend. That's also an option. Or you can have some testing page there, which you can host there and use it. So let's check what we are going to make. So we will have a package repository where we will have two very easy components. We will make a heading component and a paragraph component later. And we will make a package out of this, which can be used after by any other repositories. We will also install Storybook, and the output will be a GitHub page, and it can be viewed by any other team members like Scrum Master or designer or tester, anyone, to check what components the project has and to see what props are available on them and so on. So this package, this package repository will have this package, and from that we will have an automated process to update the dependency which is used in that other repository. So we will install the package, and later then we will automate this updating action, updating step. So if someone makes a change in the package repository, it will be automatically updated in the app repository. And we will also make a verifying action. So when you make a pull request, then usually we have to check if everything is right with the code, like lint. You can run lint to check issues with the code. Similarly, you can have type check with TypeScript. We will make that one. Or you can also have tests, unit tests to be checked. And then this verify action will result in a success or in a fail. And based on that, the pull request can be merged or not, of course, after others reviewed the code as well. So I think that's about the introduction. So let's start. And please open a terminal. And I will try to make it a little bigger. Let's see if I can. Okay, cool. It's better, right? Okay, so let me clear the terminal. So we are going to create the package repository first. So to do that, by the way, we use React, but it's not that important on this workshop now. But let's create our repository. So please type npx. This is the kind of collection of npm commands. npx create React app, and let's call it my package. And the template should be TypeScript.
Sorry, can you make it bigger?
Yeah. Okay. So here is the command, by the way. Please do that. So npx create React app my package template TypeScript. And in the meanwhile, let's go to GitHub. I hope you are already registered. And let's create a new repository. And let's have it the same name, my package. And click create repository. So my package, you should have the owner selected and create repository. Somehow it's not happening for me. Okay, now it's creating it. Cool, let's check. Yeah, it's initializing the repository, nice. So here I use this command. And then I created a package on GitHub with the same name. And as you can see, it's already finished, the initialization of the repo. So you can go there by cd my package. And let's open it up in VS Code. You can use this code that if you have the you would have to set up it, but you can also open VS Code, search for the folder where you have been created it. Also try to make that a little bigger, like that. Okay, I will use the terminal from here from now. So we have a new repo, a new code base, which is basically a React app, empty React app. Let's add the remote. So we use this from here. So from the freshly created GitHub repo, copy this line, and let's connect our repo to that. And then you can just git push, and it will push the React code to GitHub. So if you go back to the GitHub page and refresh, you should see the code there, everything there, nice. Everyone is finished with that, right? We can go on. Nice. And as you can see, here is the command to init the storybook. So you can click the copy, and then go back to the code and initiate the storybook for the project. It will ask for some installations. You will have to press Y, yes. And it will install those. It will be like 2 times you will have to press. By the way, Storybook is an add-on kind of, where you can, as you can see, we will have different components. You can have different type of, for example, a button can have a primary or secondary or large size. And then you can create those presets, kind of. Of course, from the props you can have any kind of setup for the component, but you can have any of those presets basically. Okay, still installing. So we are now installing the storybook. So you have to just run this command in the terminal, and it will set it up for you. You will have to press yes, Y twice. And for some reason my installation is not so fast, but never mind, let's hope it will be finished soon. Yeah, it's going on now, it's starting the storybook, so it will also start the storybook. And as you can see, it's already started for me. You could say we can check the tour actually. You can see here are the components on the right. Here is the view where the components can be checked. You can also have some controls there, like change from primary to secondary and so on. And some code snippets can also be included. And that's it for now. So as you can see, it started, and we can also check the package.json. So on the left, if you open the package.json, you can see that we have a new script called Storybook. Now, since it will be just a component library, we don't need the other commands, so scripts, so let's remove them. So only the Storybook and the build Storybook remains. And you can just change it to start. So it will be the starting command for us. So I removed like 4 scripts from there and left, changed the storybook to start. And actually you can just stop the terminal, the process with Control-C and run npm start to check if it's working, and it should run the storybook and restart everything basically. Now, as you can see, we already have some components, however, we haven't wrote any. That is because there are some example components. So if we check the src folder, there is this stories folder, which has some example files, which we won't really need, but for now, let's just keep them and we will clear them later. So in the src folder, you can click there and add a new folder called components. So in src, create a components folder, and inside that, a heading folder components heading, and inside that create a heading.tsx, and let's create a component, basic component here. So const heading equals an arrow function, and you can just have an h1, and here we will have a prop. So let's have object literal opened and enter children. Let's also type it, so it will be props with children, which is coming from the React. So if you type it there and then click enter, if you have that tooltip, then it will automatically import it, or you can also try to left click and it will give you some hints to easily import it, or just you can import it manually from React. And then just put the children there. So it will be just wrap your component with an h1 tag basically. And let's export default the heading. And in the meanwhile, let's also add an index.ts. So you can see the heading component on the left. And I will also create the index.ts, which looks like export default from the heading file, from that file. And now let's just wait a little bit to everyone to finish it. So in the SRC, I created a components folder. Inside that, I created a heading folder. There I created this heading file. As you can see, it just returns h1 with children and export defaults it. And we have an index file where we just export the default from the heading file. And of course, you should see some error, not here, but here, yeah. It's completely normal. We will fix that soon. Yeah, and actually it's already disappeared. Okay, so please raise your hand if you are ready, and we can go on. Okay, raise your hand if you need more time. One. Okay, and what about the others? Okay, two. Do you need some help from previous steps?
No, it's just installing the storybook still.
Ah, okay, still, okay. Yeah, I think the Wi-Fi is a little slow here. So yeah, after you install the storybook, yeah, of course you could done it until that, but then I will wait, and then we can continue with the storybook part.
Do we have checkouts that we can just check it out?
No, it's we are building it from. Yeah, actually we can do so. You can see my GitHub here. It's a public, but it's not committed there yet. Anything so. But this is done enabling my package. And yeah, you can check it as I work. I will commit sometimes, and then you can check it, of course. But then please tell me if the storybook is completed. I think we won't have any other setup which requires that much of connection bandwidth. So after that, it should be okay and faster. No, itt a nagyobb is. You can also come here, there are some free spots at the front. Okay, is it still installing the storybook?
Yeah, just installed.
Okay. Okay. So it's finished, you say?
Yeah,
Okay. Then let's go on. So we have the component heading, and we would like to see it in Storybook, right? So let's pick one component. You can see there are some buttons with CSS and so on, and there is this one with stories. So let's select this button.stories.ts and copy the content of the file and create a new file next to the heading called heading.stories.ts and just enter the whole thing, paste, and we will edit now this. So if you check the end of the file, there are multiple exports. After the default export, there is the primary, secondary, large, and so on. Let's just remove those and keep one. And it should be default. Default. And for the argument, as you know, it only have these children. So let's write children, which will be like heading example. You can also remove the comments. And on the top, let's change every button to heading, basically. Just search for the buttons and change it to heading. And you will also have to remove the curly braces because we have it as default export. And also we can just import it from the index like that. And also from here, we won't need anything else in the meta, just the title and the component. So the others can be also deleted. And this is what you will have. And you can also change the example to components. This is optional. And finally, you can just delete the stories folder. So we have the heading. I changed the title to component/heading. Everything which was bottom is now heading. And as arguments, we just have a children called heading example. And if we go now to the storybook, then as you can see, there are some errors that it's not finding the old components. But if you click on the heading, and you can also refresh, you will see that it's working and the component is here and it's displayed. You can change the heading, and you can have basically any kind of title there. You can try your own. In the meanwhile, I will just push my changes. So git add, git commit, storybook, setup, and I pushed it. So you can check. Okay, if you need more time, please raise your hand. Okay, one. I will wait a little bit more. And we will go on with the publishing of the package, by the way. All you have to do is just do exactly as I do. We will make some changes in the files, like a lot of files. Okay, so you can collapse the component folder actually, and we will check all the other files. And we can delete basically all but the index.tsx and the setup tests. We don't need those, so you will only have left the index.tsx and the setup test TS. If you have a component library, you can also just rename later to TS. Maybe it would complain for the TS config, so I will just keep it as TSX for now. And here in the file, let's just remove everything. And you can just export default that heading component we created. So export default as heading from component/heading. And basically this index file will be the file which the app will use as an entry point. So this will be the entry point to the package, and it will check what is exported from that package. So if you add any component later, you would have to also list those there. Otherwise, you can't really import the components you have been created, or maybe you can just give the whole path to import them. Okay, that's one thing. We could clear or remove the setup test. For now, I will just leave it there. Maybe if we would write test later, then it could come handy, but I will leave it there. So let's check the tsconfig file. So we will compile the package with TypeScript, and to make that, we will have to make some modifications. For example, the module have to be common.js. So please change the module to common.js in the tsconfig.json. And also please remove the no emit. This means that this emit means that the files will be translated to JS files from the TS files. So we need this emission. So the emission is when you create them. No emit means that it won't create them. So we need to emit them. So just remove that line. And we will need two other things. We need by default it just puts the files next to the TS files, but we need it in another folder. So please make an out dir, and it should be lib. So it will create a lib next to the src and convert the files there. And also we need the declaration files, which are the type files. So thanks to that, the package can later be used easily with TypeScript. So it will have the type declarations. It will be much easier to use. So that's all we have to do in this file. I will pull it to the right, and if you haven't completed yet, then you can check. Next thing is we have to add a build tsconfig. So in the root next to the tsconfig, let's add the tsconfig.build.json. And basically it will be just extending the tsconfig file. So open an object literal, and let's have an extends property which extends the tsconfig file, which is this one itself. And later we will add some other things to this, but first let's check what it does. To do that, we have to do some other things. So here is this build config. So in the package.json, let's go to the top, and you will have to change the package name, because of course this if everyone would create this my package, it would make no sense to identify which package is that exactly. So you need your username there. So please enter your username, which is basically that one over there. Of course, it should be lowercase. So if you have uppercase characters, then lowercase it. In my case, it's @DanielBali /my package. Please don't forget the @ sign, otherwise it won't work. So add your username slash and just keep the my package, and also change that in the package log file. So that is these two name fields. Please also change that to that username version. So I changed the name here to add username slash my package, and also I changed that in the package log file. Now in the package JSON, let's remove the private, otherwise we can't publish the package, so it has to be public. And for the scripts, we have to add one more thing, the build script. So it should be named build, and the content is mpx tsc. This stands for the TypeScript. So we will bundle or translate the files to JS with this command. And I just add that project. Setup is in the tsconfig.build.json. So in the scripts, I added a new command or script called build, and it looks like mpx tsx -- project tsconfig.build.json. And if we run now this command, please do so, npm run build. There should be a new lib folder, as you can see, and there is some JS files created, some declaration files, and also here is the heading, and the story is also there. So we have to do two more things to make it correct. One is that this lib folder should not be part of the repository. So how to do that? Please go to the gitignore file and add that add an empty line at the end and enter lib, and it will gray it out simply as it is. And let's do one more thing. I don't need the setup test file because it's just for the storybook basically, or not the storybook but the library. And I also don't need the stories files. So let's go back to that tsconfig build.json, and let's add some exclusions with that exclude prop, and we will have two. One is the story files, so asterisk slash asterisk dot stories dot asterisk. With that, we telling the compiler to don't include the stories files, and the other is src slash setup tests.ts, basically that setup test file which is here, and the other one is the stories. So here first you need two stars or asterisks, and then just one at the two other places. This is one, and the other is the setup tests. Let's just delete the lib folder, and if you build again and check the content, the setup file is no longer there, and also the stories file is removed or not translated. Okay, if you need more time, then raise your hand. Cool. Then we are going on. I will just git commit. Prepare for publishing. Now, we won't make the package locally. so we won't try to publish from locally. Instead, we will do it up there in a GitHub action. And you would think that, ooh, GitHub action, I will have to do some special things on GitHub and then some very complicated stuff. But actually, you just have to create a new file here in the repository, and GitHub will recognize that it's an action and it will just run it and simply as it is. So to do that, you will have to create a GitHub folder starting with a dot. So dot GitHub. And then inside that GitHub folder, let's create a workflows folder. And inside that, we can have a publish.yaml. This is the extension for those actions. So .github inside that the workflows, and inside that the publish.yaml. And these action files basically have three parts. One is the name. You can also write name. It is publish package. It will also have an on, so when to trigger this action. And the other is the jobs, which steps should be run. This is the most important part for us, of course. But as you can see, there are some hints there for me. You may not see it. It's because you need an extension. So please open the extensions tab and search for GitHub Actions. And you can see I have this blue one installed. It helps you with the YAML extension, basically. Gives some tooltips and so on. It can be much faster and it will highlight the errors if you have any. So extensions and GitHub Actions and the blue one.
What is the difference between that and the first one?
I think with that you can see the actions in VS Code. But I haven't checked that, so yeah, of course you can also try that, but let's not get into it now. So you need that for now. And let's continue writing our script. So the second part is the on part, when to run this workflow. So you have to write on, and then with the indent, it will be on workflow dispatch. So please write workflow dispatch. This means that there will be a button available for this action, so it can be triggered manually. If you don't put it, then it will be triggered by pushing to some branch or from some other actions or similar. So if you write this workflow dispatch, then you can dispatch it by yourself, and we will check it later how it looks. This is one. There is this comma, but you don't have to continue with anything. The other thing is you need a push. So when someone pushes to that branch or that repo, and yeah, you will also have to specify which branch. It should be the main branch. So push branches main. So if someone pushes to the main branch, then this action or workflow will be triggered. And now the final part is the jobs. And in this workshop, we will just have one jobs. Of course, if you want to organize it better, you can have multiple jobs, and you can, if some jobs is failing, then you can restart from only that job. But for now, we will just have one job. It will be called publish for this one. And by the way, we will write 4 workflow actions in this workshop. This is the first one. So publish, and then we have to set a few things. The environment, one is which to run on. So run on Ubuntu latest, and we need some permissions. We need for the packages, since we will publish the package. So for the packages we will need write access and since once we publish a new package, we will also have to increase the version number of the package. So, and after that we have to push the new version. So we also need the contents permission with write access. So jobs publish runs on Ubuntu latest, and the permissions are for the packages write and the contents write. Finally, we need the steps. And here we will have some hyphen. Each part will start with hyphen. And the first one is some setups. The first two is some setups. We will use the actions/checkout at version 4. Basically, it's check out the code and make sure that it's available for us. So actions/checkout version 4. And then we also use actions/setup node. So we have to make sure that we have the Node.js set up correctly. Of course, you could set up some versions, but for now we won't need any version. And we will need one more thing here, but now let's go on and we will add it later. So now let's run something. We have to set up the GitHub user. So as you know, we will have the version number increased, and for that we have the GitHub has to know who is the user for the GitHub. So you have to set it up by git config --global user.name, and with quotations, double quotations, Daniel Bali or your name. And the other one, you can just copy the line. I use this shift option down arrow. You can quickly copy any line or up. It can be really handy. And it should be email. And you can use Daniel.Bali, your own email address, basically. Like that. And now comes the version number increment. By the way, as you can see, I use this pipe sign. With that, you can have multiple lines, as far as I know. So let's increase the version. As you know, in the version number, you have 3 parts. The first is the major, minor, and the patch. For now, we will just increase the last part, which is the patch. So npm version patch. And as you know, this action runs when you push to a branch. So imagine that, okay, you push something to the branch, you start this thing, and then there will be this npm version patch, which creates a new commit with the new version and pushes the changes later. So it would trigger again this action, so you would be in a circular going round and round. So let's prevent that with a custom message. So let's add -m for message. And for the message, you can have this skip CI in brackets, skip CI, and then increase version. And basically, with this skip CI, the CI won't be running after that, after we pushed. It will check the commit, and it finds that it has a skip CI, and it skips it. Now let's start a new run. Zoom? Mi van ott? Be van zárva. Ja, zoomoljak bele. Okay. So it's too small, you say. Okay. Okay, like that. It's too big now, but okay. So with this new run, we can start a new part of the code. So you can better organize your code. You can also name them later. We won't get into that now. So let's check. We need you can also use this pipe again, and we can have multiple commands. So we need to do an npm install to install the packages. Of course, in CIs or actions, basically you should use the npm CI, and then you would basically it won't touch the package.json file. But since you may have different version than which on GitHub, and we could of course check set the version, but then it would run much slower. Let's just use the npm install instead, and just please note that in a real world project you should use the CI command here. The other thing is npm run build, which we already tried out, and it worked really fine. And finally, you can add a new run for this. This is the npm publish. This will publish the package to the node npm registry. So for that, we need an environment variable. So please enter an env, comma, and then you need a node out token. And here we need a token which is provided by GitHub default. Use this $sign and then curly braces 2 times, and then secrets that git. So after the version patch, I added the npm install, npm run build, and npm publish. And with that, we have the environment variable node out token, and we use the secrets.github token. One final thing we have to do is to git push. This will push the changes up to the repository. So to summarize, we have a publish packages action on, it can run on workflow dispatch, or if we push to the repository, it has some jobs, exactly one job, the publish. We set up the system to Ubuntu latest. We have 2 permissions, the packages and the content, both with write permission. And we have 6 steps. We have a checkout, setup node. We set up the GitHub user. Please make sure that you use these double quotations. We have the npm version patch with this custom message to prevent the circular triggering. And then we install the packages, build the lib folder, and then publish its contents. And this one also have this environment value, the node out token with the secrets.github token. And finally, we git push. And I think one more thing we will have to do, since we have to tell the package where to look for the files. So if you go back to the package.json, after the dependencies, or it can be even before it, please add the main prop. This is the file where it should be found. So this will be the index.js in the lib folder. So please enter lib/index.js, and the other is the type, which is next to it. So it will be types lib/types, lib/index.ts. This D stands for declaration. Basically not a normal TypeScript file which contains code, but some declaration file which just contains the types. So in the package.json, I added these 2 new props, the main and the types. Now let's check what we have. We have the GitHub folder with the new action, and the package JSON modification. Let's add that. And if we are lucky, it should trigger the run, trigger the action. And it should publish the package. If you go now back to GitHub and check the Actions tab, then as you can see, the create publish action is running now. And you can also click it and then click again on the job, publish job. And you can see how it's going. It's doing the install, it will take some time. It finished the build, and as I can see, there are some publishing problems. As you can see, it's trying to access the registry npm.js.org, but instead we want the GitHub one. So as I said, we need one more step here in this publish YAML. So please go back to the publish.yaml. And here, when we have the action setup node, we need to set the registry there. So of course, there are multiple ways to do it, but this is the recommended way. You can use this read command just like with the env, but instead it's just with read. And we can set the registry URL to https://npm.package, like package.github.com/. So for the setup node, I added this read registry URL, and with npm.package.github.com. Let's also add that and commit it. And push it. In the meanwhile, of course, it's already started the action. So let's check it. You can scroll up to the page and click on Actions, and you will find that it's already running again. You can click it, open the job, and let's hope that this time it will be finishing nicely. Okay, it still has some problems, as I can see. It needs the write package, which is strange because we added the write permission. Anyone else maybe have succeeded, or do you have the same error? Sorry? Works? Oh, then you are lucky somehow. For me, it doesn't work. I have to find out why. Okay, we can check the package if there is something. It's nothing there yet. Okay. It's very strange. You can also try to trigger it again. So if you go to the publish package in this here the workflows, you can click run workflow, and it will trigger it again. And if you refresh, you can see that it started again. Let's check in the meanwhile what could be the issue, because it should work. Anyone else who managed to publish it and it's working? 2, nice, 3, 4, okay. For you? Okay, it's failed again. It's very interesting. Okay, then since we have already had 1 hour, then I suggest to let's make a break, like 10 minutes, and in that 10 minutes we will try to figure out what's the issue. Okay, then thank you. Okay, please. Please take your seat. The program will be resumed shortly. Let's continue. So I think the problem for me, if you could please be quiet. So the problem I think for me was that I already had that package name published, and maybe because of that it wasn't working. So what I had to do is I changed the name of the repo and also the name of the package to my package 2, and now it's working magically. In the meanwhile, I also added some token. Maybe it also helped, but let's hope it was the solution to rename the package. So if we check our structure, as you can see, we have the publish now. We have a new package. We had the publish action. What we will continue with is the app repository. So we will make a new repository. So please open up the terminal. Go back to the root folder, cd ... and default Siri, of course. And please run this command npx create react app, and instead of my package, use the my app name. And to be sure, I will just name it my app 2 template TypeScript, and let's it make it. And for me, it will be app 3. Because I already have a folder, and also app 3. It will be app 4 for me. Cool. And also let's head to GitHub and make that repository. So you can go to the home here and click the new, and then you enter your name, the name of the repo, which is my app 4 for me. My app 4, for you just my app. And then click create repository. And you can already copy the codes to add it to the remote origin, the remote in the Git. And by the way, in the meanwhile, if I open the package repo in a new tab, you can see in the packages there is the my package 2, and I could install it with this command, and you can see the versions there. You can also have some settings there, like we could set it to private, and then only I could, or someone with the token could install it. Okay, it's finished. So let's go to cd my app 4 and open it in Visual Studio Code or your favorite IDE. And let's bring up the terminal and add the remote URL. And we can git push to push the code to the repo like last time. And then you can refresh the page to see if the code is there. Nice. Okay. Now let's try to install our package in this app. So you can do that with npm install, then add your username / the name of the package, my package 2. For you it's my package. Let's see what happens. As you can see, it doesn't find it because it thinks that it's in the npm JS registry. So we would have to tell it that it's on GitHub. So please create a new file called npm-rc, and please also put it in git ignore. We don't want it to go to the repository. And let's add your username at Daniel Bali, registry equals https : you already know the npm, that package, github.com, and we also have this always auth through, always authenticate. Now let's try again to run it. npm install, and as you can see, it installed correctly, successfully. If you check the package.json, you can see the edit package there as a dependency. You can see the version. I also tried to increase the version, but it did not help. Now let's try to start the app. So npm start, and it should start the process for our app, and you can see the demo app example up here. Let's edit this app file and remove everything from the header. So I'm in the src app.tsx, and let's just remove everything from the header and use our new heading component, and let's name it GitHub Workshop. And as you can see, it works nice. So it displays the component we created with Storybook. Cool. Let's commit it. So we added the new repository and we installed the package. Now what we need is to create that update dependencies workflow. So I suggest you just copy the one we created here. So go back to the package repository, click on that GitHub folder, that .github, and copy it over to the other one and paste it. And we will just make some modifications there. First, let's change the name. So instead of publish, let's have it update dependencies. And also change the name to update dependencies. We don't need the push, it only triggered manually, or we will trigger it from another action, from the publish actually. On the jobs, instead of the publish, we have the update job. So please change it a bit, but of course you could even keep it like that. And remove the packages since we don't need that. I added this token, you don't have it, but we also don't need that. You can also remove that with registry URL from the setup node. We need the config for the Git, but we don't need the version patch. What we need here is to have a token. So please copy the content of the npm-rc and create a new line here, write run, pipe sign, and make it 2 intents. And let's add echo and then single quotation, and copy that line, and let's paste what is on the keyboard or the clipboard. And we need one more line, echo, and this will be a little more complex. We need the same npm.package.github.com, so please copy that and start with // and then / out token equals, and then object secrets that my PAT personal access token. We will create that in a second. With that, it will allow us to install it even in the action, the package. So echo, then we have the same thing from the npm-rc, and also that / npm URL from GitHub, then _auth token equals $, object, and the secrets.mypet. And at the end of each line, we have to tell it to write it to a file. So please use that sign, that less than, and then npm-rc. And for the second and third line, please also another sign here, because we not recreate the file, we add new lines. So like that. And since it's not in the npm-rc, it's in the git ignore, it won't be committed later. Because what we will do now, after the npm install, we install the latest of our package. So please change it to npm install your package name. For me, it's my package 2. You can find the name basically here, and you can also copy it from there. Like that. And we don't need that. Instead, you can run with pipe. You can just git add, git commit, and you can just have like update dependencies and git push. Cool. Now let's create that my pet. I will wait a little bit to catch me up. So I added the npm install, I installed the package, my package which we created. Then git add, git commit, and git push. Very simple. Now let's go to create that my pet. So please go to the GitHub, and up there on the right corner you can find your user menu, and click on settings. And then scroll down to the bottom, you can see the developer options, the developer settings. And then here the third one is tokens. So if you are not there yet, then you can go to github.com/settings/tokens. And from there we will generate a new token. And you can just enter some note like test or my token or something, it doesn't really matter. And then you have to check the repo and the read packages, or you can also select the write packages. These two groups we will need. And then click on the generate token. I already created it, so I will just skip that step for now. But at the end you would see your token, and then please click on the copy, and then you should be able to copy it. And because I did not copy the previous one, I will just create another one, which we can use later. It's already taken. Cool, as you can see, it's here. Now let's go back to our app. And go to settings up there. So we are on the code tab when you open a repo. Let's go to the settings tab. And in the secrets and variables, you can find the actions. Let's open that. So in the security, secrets and variables actions, and you just click on the green button, new repository secret, and copy the secret there. And now important is to name it correctly. It should be my personal access token. And then click add secret. Now if you couldn't follow me, then you can check how it's done in the other repo. Let's also add it to the package repo because we will need it later. So go to the my package repo, open the settings tab, and at the security, open the secrets and variables drop-down and actions, and add the new repository secret, and it should be my PAT, and add secret. Yeah, and I already added the previous one, so I will just keep that part now. Good. So that's how we added the secret. Now let's check our code. So we modified the GitHub folder, we added it. Now let's commit it. So git add, git commit, update deps action, and push it. And since we just have this workflow dispatch, it won't run automatically. So please go to my app, actions, and as you can see, it's not started yet. We have to trigger it for now manually. So please open the update dependencies, and you can see this run workflow. But as you know, if we would try to update it to the latest, it wouldn't really make sense because we don't have a new version. So first, let's go to the package now first, and let's make a new version of our package. So go to the Actions tab, click on the Publish package, and run workflow from main. Run workflow and run workflow. And by this, we trigger an action manually. And as you can see, the Publish package has started to run. And we can just check how it's going. The npm install takes some time, of course. It's doing the publish now. Let's push your changes, complete this job. Okay, now let's go, as you can see, it's successful. Let's go back to, if you completed, let's go back to the my app. And please only trigger if the package is updated. And then go to update dependencies and trigger this workflow manually. Run workflow, run workflow. And you can either refresh or just wait a little bit, and the manually triggered action will appear. As you can see, it's here, update dependencies, update. And let's check how it's doing. It's doing the npm install. Okay, looks like it managed to install the new package and added the changes, committed and pushed. Now let's check the code. So let's go back to our code. And if you open the package.json, you can check the version. For me, it's 101. For you, it should be 2 or 1 or something like that. And then if you pull, git pull, then as you can see it's changed from 102, so it increased the version. So it's working fine. One more step is missing, since as you see we have the update dependency. We have to trigger that update dependency at end of publishing. So let's open the publishing repo, my package, and go to the end of the publish GitHub workflow. And here we have to add a new line and run. You can use the pipe, it doesn't necessary, but later we will add another trigger here. Please write GitHub, so GH, workflow, run, and the name of the other workflow. Actually, you can just copy it to make sure. It should be that name, so not the file name, but the name of the workflow. And you also have to provide the repo. So repo should be Daniel / Bali. Your username, of course, comes here / my app4. Okay, and here you also need an environmental variable, which is GitHub token. And we need to have the secret, which is secrets.mypat, my personal access token. And then it will have access to that repo to run this, trigger this workflow. So I ran GitHub workflow run, update dependencies on the repo, my username. You don't need the @ sign here, just the username / my app4, or in your case just my app. So we basically trigger it from here. At end of publish, we trigger this repos update dependencies. And I also added the environment variable GitHub token, which is from the secrets.mypat, my personal access token. You can have an empty line at the end. And then you can git add, git commit, trigger update action, and you can push. And as you can see, we have some problem because something was changed. Since we ran the publishing, there were some changes there. So first we have to pull, and if you try to pull, then you will have to set up how you what you make with how you rebase or how you merge the changes. So I will select this second one, and I don't have to do anything basically. So git pull, and it will automatically merge everything, yeah, to the rebase, and then I can push the changes to the repo. So I push the changes, and it should be there now. So if we go now to the my package, I will just keep the my app here, and I go to my package and open the actions tab. As you can see, it started running because I pushed to the repo. And let's check how it's doing. So if it succeeds, then it should trigger the update dependency in the other repositories workflows. Let's hope it will happen. Here is the file if you missed some steps. It's doing the npm install, it will take some time. Okay, it's doing the build, it's publishing. It's published a new one, git push, and then it's looking to update the dependencies workflow in the other repo. And as I can see, it's successfully triggered. So let's go to the other repos actions now, the my app actions. As you can see, it's successfully triggered the other workflow action. And as you can see, it's running nicely. So basically, we succeeded. Let's check if it's running now. So in the meanwhile, we can check the flow. So in the package repository, we are making the publishing. It creates the package and pushes the new version to the repository. And at the end of the publish, we trigger the update dependencies. It installs the latest package and pushes the changes to the other repo. That's what's happening, and it's completed as well. Nice. So what we will continue with is, after we publish the package and updated call the update dependencies, we will create a page for the storybook so that other team members can check the storybook, how it works. So for that, let's check our package file. From now, we will only work in this my package repository. So as you can see, we have a build storybook action or a script. So let's check what happens if we run it. So in the terminal, please run npm run build storybook. And as you can see, it's creating a storybook static folder. Basically, that's the output that we can use and put anywhere statically. The plan is to rename it to docs file, since to make it available. So how it works, we will check out to a storybook branch and make this build, and then rename the storybook static to the docs folder, because we need this docs folder to be to publish as a static page. So that's what we will do, and for that we will just clone this workflow. So please copy paste the publish workflow and name it storybook. Also the name should be storybook, and we don't need the push. We call the job storybook, and let's remove the packages permission. We only need to write to the content. We also don't need, you haven't wrote it, but we don't need that. We don't need the registry URL, so you can remove that also, like last time for the setup node. We also don't need the version patch, so please remove that as well. And before we install, we need merge the main branch to the storybook branch. So let's create a, thank you for the sound. So let's go to GitHub, to the package repository, and in the code you can see here one branch. Click on that one branch, and let's create a new branch called storybook. Create new branch. We will use this branch. So basically what happens if there is some new commit in that branch, GitHub will recognize that and create a new page after that. So I added this storybook branch, and just to save some time, because we will have some things to do still, this merge main won't work, unfortunately, because somehow in the action it says that it has some unrelated history, and because of that you can't do that. So please add this -- allow unrelated histories, and also -- no ff. With that we create a merge commit, and finally with the -x, the uppercase X, with that we will make sure that if there are conflicts, we just accept the incoming changes.
Isn't there a bug? Unrelated?
Yeah, thanks. Unrelated, yeah, thank you. So git merge main allow unrelated histories. No ff and x theirs. And then we have to continue. Let's just clear everything. And instead of that npm publish, we will have a multi-line one. We have to npm install the packages, then npm run build storybook. Then we have to remove the existing docs folder. So to do that, we have to use this rm-rf. So remove folder docs. Then we have to rename the static storybook static folder, which I can just remove now because we don't need that in the repo. So we have to rename that to docs. To do that, use mv storybook static docs. So we rename the storybook static, there is no plural, just static, to docs. And it will have everything we need. And finally, we have to do the usual job. We do like twice a day at least, git add, git commit with the message, storybook update, and git push. So the difference is we just have a git workflow dispatch, so we can trigger it now manually. and we fetched checkout to the storybook branch, merged the main to the storybook with these 2 extra or 3 extra flags, npm install, npm run storybook, which runs, builds the storybook folder, then remove the docs folder, which is there from the previous build, then rename the storybook static to docs, and finally add commit and push. And just to save some more time, let's also add the triggering to the end of the publish. So please go back to the publish workflow, and here at the GitHub workflow run, you can just again copy this line, so duplicate it. So Shift Option down, you can easily duplicate it, and just copy the name of the storybook workflow and replace the update dependencies with the storybook. And since it's in the same repository, we don't need to specify the repository, so you can just remove that part. Cool. So if you check the status, you can see we have a new file and modify the publish. So let's try it and add it, commit it, storybook 2 pages, and git push. And again, I have to pull and push again because there were some new commits in the repository because of the publishing and version increment. Let's check the actions. Okay, while it's running, and it will also run the storybook, let's hope that it will finish nicely. Let's set up the pages. So open it in a new tab. So click on the settings. We were already there before. And head to the code and automation pages. And very simple, we just have to select a branch for it. So please click the branch and select storybook. And instead of the root folder or the root itself, just select the docs folder. And it will pick up the static files from the docs folder and then click save. And let's hope it won't trigger anything now. Yeah, it's triggered. So please go back to actions, and it automatically started this, but let's just cancel this run because we don't need it yet. As you can see, the publish package was successful and it triggered the storybook. So if you go to storybook, you can check what happens. By the way, if we would check the app, it also triggers the update dependency in the other repository. So everything connected to everything now. And it's doing the installation. And in the meanwhile, we can just check out to the storybook branch. Git pull. The docs folder is not there yet, but let's wait for the storybook to complete the run. And if everything is successful, then it should have the docs folder there. And of course, it will trigger a deployment for the package, which we will also check. Cool, I think it succeeded. Complete job, and it should change to green. By the way, did you know if you can do things like add some notification to Slack or Teams? If something is failing or success, then you can alert anyone that it happened. Okay, I refreshed and it's green. Now let's try. I don't know why it's not there. Yeah, it's not. Okay. Git pull, and the file should be there. Yeah. As you can see, the docs folder is there and the files are there. Nice. Let's check the actions. As you can see, after we pushed the storybook branch, it triggered the pages build and deployment action, and it's already succeeded. So to check that deployment, you can go to code, for example. There are multiple ways to do that, and open the deployments. GitHub pages now, and there is this share button next to this deployment, and if you click that, it should open the storybook, and it's there. Nice. Cool. I hope you also finished that. Hands up if you managed to make it. 1, 2. Oh, nice. Is it still running, the action? For the others, let's hope. Okay. So that was the third part, the storybook part. And if you haven't completed, never mind, we can just continue with the verify. It's not strictly related to that. So let's check the verify. So the plan there is that if there is a new pull request, then we should have an action which runs when before that pull request is able to be merged. So it should have the status check that it can be merged. So to do that, we have to create first a new action. So please go back to the main branch, and we can also pull and have the new version. As you can see, the package files changed. And let's copy the publish file and change it to verify. Let's rename it to verify and just remove the push, and also change the publish to verify. And next to the workflow dispatch, we could remove it actually, but let's just keep it there so it can be used to run manually. We should have a pull request, because this workflow will be triggered when we have a new pull request. And we have 3 types when it should happen. When you opened a new pull request, reopened a new pull request, or synchronized a pull request. And the target for that pull request, so the branch, should be main. So pull request types: opened, reopened, synchronized. Branch is main. For the permissions, we need just the content, so please remove the packages, and we need just read permission for the contents. For the steps, we don't need this token, which you don't have yet, and we don't need that registry URL, so please remove that. We don't even have to set up anything about Git. We just need the npm install and remove the other things there. So what you have left is the checkout, the setup node, and then the run, which has this npm install and the npm run type check. We haven't wrote that type check, so let's do that. So you can copy it, npm run type check, add that to the package JSON. It's called type check. And basically what we have to do, tsc -- no emit. What it will do, it will check the types in the code. So if we run now npm run type check, it should give us and now nothing because it has no type problems, but we will check that how it fails later. So if we check again the verify action, it has an npm install and the npm run type check. So we modify the package.json with the new script and added the verify workflow. Let's add it and commit it and push it to the repo. Cool. And now let's check the actions. As you can see, it's just running the publish package, which is okay. You can already see the new verify action here. But for now, let's protect our branch. So when we have a new pull request, we need that static check to be there. So please go to the code, and you will see that your main branch isn't protected. So please click on the protect this branch. You can also go there by settings and branches and add the new branch protection rule. It default gives the branch name pattern main, and what we need is require status checks to pass before merging. And you can also set this require branches to be up to date before merging. This means that, let's say I have a branch, I check out from it, make some changes, and in the meanwhile on the main branch there are some other changes, and then I create a pull request. Then it should say that you have changes which is not synced yet to that branch. So for that we will have a button which says let's update, and then with that you can update the branch. So it's really cool, especially if you want to make sure that everything is, every test is run nice and every type check is working. And finally, please here search for verify. It should be there. Somehow it's not there yet. So it's in branches. Maybe it has to run at least one time. If we check for publish, it's there. Okay, then let's try to go to actions and trigger it manually. So verify, actions, verify, and run workflow. It should be really quick. Just the installation takes some time. Setting up the node. Sometimes stuck here, I don't know why. Let's check if we can add now. Check. And it's still not there. Okay, what we can try is we can cancel run, and let's try it again. No, sorry. So verify, run workflow. Let's hope that it will trigger it. That should be cancelled already. Sometimes it happens then the workflow just freezes. It's very rare, but can happen. Let's hope that it will work now. And after that we will just have to create a new component and check if the pull request check is working as designed. Okay, it's checking out. Good. Yes, it's succeeded. Now let's get back to settings and let's hope that action is selectable. Yeah, as you can see, you have to run it at least once to have it available there. So please search for verify, and if you select it, then it will be selected there, and you can see the GitHub actions there. And then save it. And now we have our branch protection rule. So let's try to check out to a new branch called feed paragraph. And let's create a new component. So basically we can just copy the heading and just rename a few things. So please copy the heading folder, copy paste, and change it to heading, paragraph. You can copy this name and then it will be much easier. Change the name of the story file, the heading file, accept the change and may save that index file. Here you can use that FNF2 to easily rename at all spaces, or all places. I think it's really nice. And also if you go to the stories, you can again use FNF2 and it will replace it everywhere, and you can just write the missing ones. Component paragraph, yeah, just like that. And finally have that as well exported. And if we check the storybook, duplicate story ID, it has some duplication somehow, which is strange. Let's try to restart it. It should not have any duplication. Yeah, so as you can see, we have a heading and a paragraph. Yeah, of course, let's change that h1 tag to p tag. And then it will be a paragraph. Nice. So let's add commit feed paragraph and push our changes. And let's check what happens up there. So actually you can just click on that create a pull request for feed paragraph in the terminal, and it will jump directly to that page, and then you can click the create pull request button. And as you can see, you can't merge. Of course, with admin privileges you could merge, but as you can see, it started to verify, and also it says that your branch is out of date because we had that version update. So let's update the branch, and it should also re-trigger the verify. Let's check. Yeah, it's scheduled. So you can just quit. You can cancel the original one, and the second one will start running. And we can go back to the pull request and check and wait for it. By the way, if you, for example, remove that type, then you have this error, then you can check how it's failed. It can be a good homework to check how it looks. But basically it's have this working now, and it should be pass. Let's wait for it. Just a few seconds. And once it's the status check is okay, we should be able to merge the pull request. And as you can see, all check is passed, and we can then merge the pull request. Confirm merge, and we can also delete the branch. and it will now trigger the publish packages and then the storybook page, and also in the other repository the update dependency. But let's hope everything works nice. And finally, let me close it with another slide. So let's imagine a web and mobile project where you have to support like the brand and maybe multiple brands of that company. So it looks like, let's imagine that we have a brand styles library. It's basically, it contains colors, font types, border radius in pixels and such parameters, which can be used by the web component and also the mobile component. As you can see, this brand styles will create a package, and this package will be installed by both libraries. It's a React Native library, and this is a React one. And then, same way, we have a storybook, and also for the on the native, we have another storybook. And then we have the applications, the web applications. So each component library will create its own package, and it will be consumed or used by the apps. Then we may have a utils library where you can put like business logic or common messages for the two repositories. And you can also have packages which can be used for that. And of course, just to see, those are the company-specific projects which can be used by repositories, which can be used by other repositories, other apps as well. And those are other projects, and those are the project-specific repositories. And if the company wants to have another app, then they don't have to recreate the upper ones, only the ones at the bottom. And for example, if I change something in the brand styles library, you have a pull request, it will create a new package, update the dependencies in the web component library. It will create a new package, and it will update dependencies in the web app. And it will run on the same way on the other side, and also publish the storybooks. And the same goes for the utils library, or if you run something in the component libraries. And I think we are at the end of our workshop. So thanks everyone for joining us, and I hope it was good and exciting, and you learned something new. And thank you.
We have beer and pizza, so please stay with us for a while. You can also play cards.